Welcome back to our Blue Z Water channel. Today I'm privileged to have Dr. Oleg Nikishin with us, who's an expert in medical ozone therapy. Oleg is also a naturopath and an engineer, and he can give you the rest of his credentials. Welcome, Oleg. And today we're going to discuss medical ozone therapy, how important it is, and just give an overview. So welcome, and why don't you tell our audience about yourself and give it start in with an overview on the ozone therapy, please.
Yes. Hello, friends. My name is Oleg Nikishin. I am NZ. I'm a Master of Science in Electrical Engineering. I'm Master in Iridology, Master of Herbology, Board Certified Drugless Practitioner, Certified GI Tract Practitioner, in many different things. So the why and how I start ozone. In my clinic, when taking my clients, I notice when they start recovering, they actually do recover, but they only recover about 60 to 70%. And a person will never recover 100%, no matter what I did, no matter what remedy I give them. I take the blood test before I put them on a health recovery program. So I do functional diagnostics, that meaning by blood. So the people go and take blood tests in LabCorp or Quest, and then I see the results, and then I start my diagnostics. In other words, I assess the functions of body, and we start moving forward. So, and then in about 3 months, depends on the condition, we repeat the tests, and I see the people recover, but they not recover 100%. They always hit that plateau. So they start recovering. For instance, they have, if it's a minor dysfunction, it's this minor disbalance in the system. Yes, you can help them to restore the liver function, or kidney function, or even lymphatic function, or many different things. But other parameters will deviate, and other parameters would not fall in the health range. Now, what is the health range? Health range adds the optimum range of health in your blood parameters. So when you do go to lab, you have a lab range, which is very, very wide. For instance, for the white blood cells, lab range is between 3.5 to 11.5, while the health range for white blood cells is between 5 to 6.5. That's so narrow. When people have 5 to 6.5, you're assuming your white blood cells function properly. So you have no inflammation, and you have to actually have the differentials, which is lymphocytes and neutrophils. But anyway, going back. So people will deviate close to the health parameters, but will never be in that parameter all the functions in the body. And when I apply ozone and I show them how to do that, and in a couple months, many parameters, boom, right, go on the center line. So as now, when people come to see me, I can see the blood test, and I can tell 100% when the people using ozone or not. Because without ozone, you can't get really health parameters back in range. That's only possible with the ozone only. Even though you do take vitamins, you have a good diet, all. So many different therapies, you're still gonna deviate all the time. So then, for that time, I was using somebody else's ozone generator, and I test many of them in the market, and I was surprised to see how high the people charge for such a relatively simple device. Let's put it this way. It's not truly simple, but it's nothing. Truly, there is nothing too complex about it. Since ozone, Tesla was generating ozone before the Tesla, it was generating ozone. So the ozone is always in the atmosphere. In other words, nature generates ozone. So it's obviously it's not that should be that expensive. So it could be a reasonable price. And then I start building my my unit, and finally brought it to the market and start setting up my clients with the ozone therapy at home, training them at home, because many of them can go to clinic, but unfortunately the people have to do it 3-4 times a week, for instance, or 3 times a week, or 2 times, even 2 times. A lot of times it's very inconvenient for people to travel for such a short procedure, like 15, 20, 30 minutes procedure. Second, the rectal insufflation clinic, it's almost impossible to do, since you have to have enema, and unless you do have a special setup in your clinic, the enemas can be quite messy.
Hold on 1 second. When you hit the table, everything's waving.
Okay.
So the camera starts to wave. Okay.
Okay. Fine.
Okay.
So going back to original decision to use ozone for patients and for clients. So the decision was how to make affordable, not cheap, but affordable system that will be safe, will create medical purity ozone. Again, we're talking about the purity. We don't say this is medical device. It is not medical device. A lot of people confused, because medical ozone is not approved in the United States, so we cannot legally say it is medical device. It is not. It creates medical purity ozone, meaning there is no trace elements in it. It's a pure ozone, since it's as pure as your oxygen. So medical purity means there is no other substances in it. So the same as like medical purity, any material is a medical purity, meaning this is the purest substance. So that's what we say. So we do make medical purity, medical grade ozone machines. And next step, obviously, was how to establish the price. So for some folks who've been in business, and I didn't mention it, I have master's MBA. So there are 2 approaches to any product. So one, when you establish your price of your product from a market standpoint, another from a cost-based point. So what's the market approach? For instance, for example, talk about this. Apple. The cost of the Apple, any iPhone, between $80 to $150, for instance. But the market is $1,000, between $800 to $1,000. Can they make more? Yes, absolutely they can. Would they make more? No, they would not. So they always create that kind of shortage, and this is for all the products, in order to sustain that price level. So that's one approach. Anything else is just quite like that. The many products like that. So there is a market. So regardless how much the product costs you, here is a market for it. And again, market can be highly speculative. In other words, what kind of speculation, so on and so forth. So the other approach, for instance, is a car manufacturing approach. That's a cost-based approach. For instance, it costs $10,000 to make it, and they sell it for $15,000. So they just simply put a certain amount of a markup when transferred to margin, and they said that's what we're going to sell. So we took cost-based approach. So we established our product based upon not the market, and because market from $800 to $1,000, $2,000, that's the market for ozone generators. So why did we do that? And a lot of people asking us when they call me, they said, Oleg, I appreciate you doing it because it's just horrible what's happening with this ozone market. And I agree with it, because when you have a bad news and that you got whatever, cancer, you have bad disease, you have MS, you have a Lyme, whatever it is, okay? It's one bad news. And you do not realize in a few weeks you're going to have another bad news. It's you cannot continue working, you're going to get broke. So you have completely out of money, you're out of luck, and you can't do anything. That's the second thing. First, you got sick, and second, you're going to get broke. So a lot of times people said, I want to do that. Unfortunately, I cannot afford it. So the same thing with ozone happens to be. And I saw that suffering, and I said, this kind of greediness in this system has to not has to go, but what I can do to face it. So not to be extremely greedy on it, just establish my baseline of profitability so I can sustain my business and help other people. So that's why we took it from a cost-based approach and brought this product to the market. Second, obviously, task we have to accomplish to bring many different therapy kits and devices, because ozone, but how you apply it is a different story. So that's why we continue more and more, bring more product to the market. Again, we're trying to establish this kind of cost-based approach to the market so it becomes affordable. And my whole idea, I create a slogan at that time, ozone clinic in every home. So in other words, that ozone clinic should be in every home and every family. So in other words, one family member can train and whole everyone from like grandfathers to the grandchilds to the sisters, and can visit it and treat themselves at home. By the way, FDA cannot guide you and can tell you what to do at home. So FDA guides, and with every video we post it, it's not FDA approved therapy in the United States, and there is OSHA requirements for it. So we aware of power of FDA and OSHA, and we have to kind of respect it and be aware of it. But again, we do that for other people at home. So as in your personal life, you can do whatever you decide to do, because FDA guides public relationships. In other words, it's in a public system. It's not private system. And at home, you are in the private domain. You're not in public domain. That's the idea.
Very good. So, by the way, I've always sought out people who, like yourself, are working from compassion first and money second, still make a living. And so anybody who thinks, well, why is the system, so affordable? It's not a sacrifice in quality. It's just simply somebody practicing ethically and compassionately and wanting to help people and not putting, like you said, a greedy markup. And we don't want to slam all the other people out there. We're just, this is just a fact. And there are usually margins of like ×5, ×10, sometimes ×15. Everyone knows of MLM companies.
Yeah.
So, it is important to understand, number one, just to review, this is an at-home therapy. And I wanted to ask you, just briefly talk about people who might go to an ozone practitioner who won't guide them back to the home to do this, and your thoughts on that. And if somebody tries to get dissuaded to stay with a practitioner and come to the clinic, and they disempower the individual and dissuade them from doing the home therapy.
Well, that's another good point, Andrew, you just made. So every service has its own market, and it seems like ozone has been established, so to speak, market. And we do understand there is a lot of liabilities involved. You go to the clinic, and there is insurance, there is an overhead cost, and everything else. I'm not telling that other doctors overcharge, because I saw some doctors charge $500 for session, but other patients tell me some doctors in Florida and California only charge $120, $130 per session. So as you can see, there is a 300% differences in the margin of those services. So that's really depends on the doctor you're working with. If you go there and you find to the clinic that charge you $100, $120 per session, you need 10 sessions, $1,000, and you don't want to bother with equipment, training, that's fine. It's absolutely fine. There is nothing wrong with that. We just work around the people who wants to do it themselves, at number one. Second, not every town and every city has a good practitioner. So what we discover on the Facebook, that what we have Medical Ozone Research Group, people asking us, please tell us where we can find the practitioner. It's not easy to find that practitioner, by the way. So that's what, in this case, you can do it at home, and you don't need to search for the practitioner. So if you live in a city that has many, many different practitioners, maybe like New York, Miami, whatever, San Diego, or whatever it is, whatever the case is, and they charge you $120 per session in order to do blood ozonation, that's fine, totally fine with me. I think it's a reasonable price. There's nothing wrong with that. So
I want to interject, though, just some facts. For about, even at that minimal cost of $120 for 3 or 4 sessions, you can have your own home system. Number two, my experience is you don't go to a dentist and he brushes your teeth twice a day for $20 a pop. And you need to do, if you're particularly if you're sick, you're going to need to repeat this therapy often, and you'll go broke. In other words, I've always said this. What happens when you leave the clinic? Let's say in the old days, people go to a European clinic, come home. What do you do then? So this is not you drop off and you come home and everything's fine, especially due to the continual environmental assault, radiation, toxic food, toxins coming from the air from chemtrails, et cetera, et cetera. Medical ozone therapy at home is a necessity to have on board. Even if you're in great shape, you're going to probably need to hit it once in a while if something comes your way. If you're sick, you're going to need to do it on a regular basis, probably for months and months and months, almost every day, with some breaks, until you get well. So you will go broke going to a practitioner. So if that practitioner that you go to is not sending you to a home therapy process, I personally believe they're being unethical. And they're doing it to make money, and they're not telling you the truth. Now, one last thing I do want to say, I won't mention his name, there's a very famous ozone doctor. I know someone who's dead now because one day of treatment was $3,500. And when I try to sell this home system to her, when I try to persuade her, and by the way, this is a wife of a famous healer I know, she was soured on ozone. So the truth is, and I don't think you're going to disagree with me, you might go to a practitioner once, and if they send you home and say, go do a home system, okay, they're a good guy. Maybe they're training you. Maybe they're getting you acclimated. But if they're not telling you to go home and do this at home, to me, they're violating their core oath as a practitioner.
I agree 100%. But I think those type of practitioners will be gone from a market for a very short period of time. Look how cell phone progressed. It's all about information. So now information flies very rapidly. So those doctors, and I understand, they have old kind of system to work with. So they charge $3,500. They don't want to do anything. They just do what they do for 10 years, for 20 years. They think they established themselves like a key speaker on ozone, which I heard many times, and even call us. Unfortunately, I have those I wouldn't say many, but a few experiences with those doctors, angry doctors, especially now. I just did another talk show on the Philadelphia radio show. Angry doctor called, but it was CBD topic. It was not ozone, but what we discovered, many doctors right now losing the stream of income, because that's the changes coming in the system, and they're very angry. And that angriness will show not only in the market of CBD and marijuana disturbances in the system, but in ozone as well. When you and me start educating people, then we disturb that market and that old type of mentality. I do shots and I don't do anything. For instance, I give you one good example that happens last year. He said he's famous, I don't want to tell his name, to call me, and was very angry from the beginning, start pushing and screaming and yelling at me. I just lift up the phone. And his whole speech is, what are you doing? You're selling toxic ozone. I said, hold on a second, did you have my unit? No. Okay, how do you know it's toxic? I know because of the price. That's all what he cares. I said, how do you know what kind of toxicity is? How ozone created toxic? So I start asking the question he could not answer. So because we manufacture, and I do a lot of tests, I do a lot of research on ozone. So we tested left and right. So I live my life in ozone. I sleep with it, I wake up with it, so it's over here. So it's not something he thought maybe some kind of shysters came from a flea market, start selling something.
Right.
But I tell him, thank you for your opinion, and he got totally bazooka. They said this is your opinion only because you didn't see it. If you wish to talk, I can explain it to you. He just hung up. That's all. So that was one of the biggest city, and that was the case. He was charging $1,000 per shot. So again,
$1,000 per ozone.
yeah, for therapy.
Listen, I want to really stay on this point real quick, and I want to expand this to any practitioner out there. If you're in trouble, I mean, like you said, there's the internet now. If you can learn and study, like with anything else, if you want to be good at tennis, you got to study. If you want to be good in engineering, everything in life requires time, energy, study, and a certain amount of talent and zest, passion. So there's no different about health. The idea that you go to a practitioner for a short period of time and they're going to rectify everything, you know, good luck. I mean, and even if you find a miracle practitioner, I know a few are pretty strong. They're going to send, the ones I know are really good, send you home and say, you got to do this, 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 and this. So if you develop a good home practice and build your home clinic, that is where practitioners should be leading. You know, you're correct. How do they make a living? Well, in God's economy, they're going to make a great living. And if you believe that God will, and I, use the word God, those of you who believe in God or whatever word, creator, divine intelligence, Buddha intelligence, whatever. In the long run, you got to be right with yourself when you die. And, we're here to try to make it a better world and tell the truth. So please understand that if a practitioner is guiding you to help yourself, trust that practitioner. If they're trying to make a living, you got to, and I feel sorry for a lot of practitioners because I go to them, I have friends that are practitioners, and they're caught in a training, and if they have to stay to that system, and if they don't deviate, they can't deviate because the codes don't allow them to charge or whatever, because of the insurance, it's a sad, sad universe, but money is unfortunately driving most people's decisions. So just simply look out for a practitioner that says, look, I want to teach you how to take care of yourself at home and show you how. Okay, so we've established how, first of all, I want to say something about ozone. I am not kidding, a 5-year-old can do it. It takes literally minutes to do, in my mind, to do, the basic core therapy to do is very, very quick with the rectal insufflation. Now that when you used to do the blood in the clinic, it would take an hour, but you can do the rectal insufflation in a matter of minutes. It takes longer to clean it than it does to shoot it in there. To do ozone therapy is very easy to do. No one should be intimidated by the technical end of it. It's very simple to do, and we're going to go over the applications and how to do it. Some of the key applications in ozone therapy. The core, and you can elaborate on this, but the core therapy. Let me explain. Rectal insufflation ozone, they discovered, was almost equivalent to what they call major autohemotherapy, where you put ozone into the blood through a needle. So once a person could do an insufflation, rectal insufflation means you have a tiny little catheter, you fill a syringe or a bag, and you inject it into your rectum. And the ozone will end up going systemic, just like if you put it into your blood directly, it'll go all over the body and go systemic. And this is the core foundation of ozone therapy. Then you can do specific areas like the sinuses or the brain through the ears, and these are different adaptations of the ozone therapy. Or you could do topically, and I'm going to ask Oleg to review some of these. But understand, it's very easy to do. It's easy to assemble. It's a very simple. So don't be intimidated. Some people are technically challenged. Once you do it a couple of times, it's very easy. And so let's go over some of these applications and just give an overview of how it works, and if you may.
Okay, there are a few therapies, if you can divide them, internal therapy and external therapy. Internal therapy, when you do your healing with, and you inhale or do insufflation from inside. And there is other one like bagging is outside, or topical application of the ozonated water or oil, it's outside. So let's go to the internal ozone therapy. And when you do most popular, most effective, it's rectal insufflation. Yes, but you have to do enema first. If you've never done it, that means, and I always recommend it, and when people call and I recommend in my lecture, you don't do just enema once. You do 3, maybe 4, 5 times till you get that complete garbage out of your colon. You're gonna have that colon lining, that toxic lining in your toilet. When you see it, that's time to do the rectal insufflation. Or what could happen to you is you inject the ozone, you insufflate or not inject, insufflate ozone in the rectum, and ozone will pass through that toxic lining to your bloodstream and bring all that toxicity back to you. We know that enema is very helpful, so I think it's very good to do that. And after that, it's as simple as just procedures. It will maybe take 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, the top. How you do the enema, there are many practitioners explaining it. I myself do coffee enema all the time. So after coffee enema, I do ozone, ozone rectal therapy. So what we developed after I did it for myself for more than a year and saw the results, that's why I developed ozonated enema kit. I think it's more powerful than rectal insufflation because you ozonate the water and then you do enema with ozonated water. So when you when you insufflate ozone in the rectum, that means now, number one, you do have air pockets in it. So your potency of ozone concentration will be diluted. So you reduce concentration, and really you don't know how much ozone you insufflate and what's going to happen there, number one. Second, if you want to do more, then it creates the issue as you're expanding the colon, and natural forces of the colon muscle is going to squeeze it back, and you have a colon spasm, which is very unpleasant when you try to do a lot. So that's why I recommend, if you do rectal insufflation, don't do more. I usually don't do more than 150. That's plenty. That's a plenty and high concentrated. So I do about 55, 57 gamma and 150 top 200 cc's for rectal insufflation.
By the way, gamma is the term we use for concentration of the ozone.
Concentration, yes, per volume, not per flow, not per flow in the volume, yes. Now, that's why when I think ozonated enema is more powerful, because ozone stays in the liquid. And natural function of your colon is to squeeze the liquid. So when you inject and again, insufflate or inject the liquid in your colon, so natural function of the body, bring that liquid back to the blood. So that's why ozonated enema even more powerful. That's most popular against with the cancer patients and everyone else, I think.
How much volume of water do you use in the ozonated?
I usually take slowly, and I usually bring up to 1.5 liters.
So that's 1.5 liters is about 1.5 quarts.
Yeah.
So the water kit that you provide is a quart, right?
No, water kit, it's almost 3 liters. So almost a gallon, 3 liters, but I use half of it.
Oh, you have a new water kit for that?
No, there is no water kit. It's enema kit available. That's
so it has a jug to ozonate the water?
Yeah.
Okay.
You ozonate, and then you take that jar in your.
How long does it take to ozonate the water?
It usually takes about 20 to 30 minutes. I use ozonate a lot, and I test.
20, 30 minutes. Then now I know the half-life of ozonated water is about 20 minutes. So how do you get
the temperature? Really?
the temperature? Yes, if you use
It's not that. The water stays much longer. Anyone can test it. We have ozonated water test kits, ozonated water test kits. They are available on our website. It's very simple. That's what, again, devices that we tested, that's a cost almost $1,000. So it's out of picture so people can use it. But that's why I developed simpler testing solution. You simply put the drops on the water. As soon as it turns white, that means how many ppms you have. And so anyone can test it and to get that concentration.
I mean, if you get too cold, that's a little shocking on the colon. So what temperature?
Room temperature.
Room temperature, and how long do you say the? I mean, it's going to start to half-life right away. How long does? At what time? At what point in time is it completely half-life?
Okay. There is one explanation I have to give you. This Ozone enema kit, it's self-contained. In other words, there is a. It's not completely tight, but we can make it tight. We give you accessories, but when you open that, and I ask you not to do that, there is so much concentration in it, it can stay half a day. So it's so much saturated.
Oh, I see. You mean the gas pressure is building up?
Yes, it doesn't escape. That's the whole point.
Oh, so in a sense, it's continuing to ozonate itself after you're done.
It's very powerful. Again, I don't want to give a particular recommendation how to do, what to do. That's for particular practitioner. Work with your practitioner very closely because it depends on your condition. And we cannot give just general recommendations like for everyone. No, it's not true. It would not be true for you in particular, and just give a general guideline. So we can, for instance, ozonate up to 5 ppm, which is 5 ppm. It's the highest concentrated water ozone in the water in order to kill bacteria. It will kill even parasites. Okay, watch my video about it. So it kills in 2 seconds, equivalent 2 seconds.
So your video is on
disinfecting. About disinfecting with ozone.
Is it a YouTube channel or Facebook?
Yeah, it's a YouTube channel. Yeah, Dr. O Solutions on YouTube.
Okay, and this will show how to do the enema, right?
No, we don't do how to test ozone. We show how to test ozone with the simple test kits.
Do you have a video on how to do the enema?
I don't remember.
Okay.
We have so many, I don't remember. Maybe. I know we have rectal enema. I think we do it. Oh, yes, we do enema. Yes, we do enema.
Good.
A lot of people.
How long does the enema take, start to finish?
Takes me about an hour.
Oh, okay.
So I usually dedicate my day off to it.
And how many times a week would you recommend the enema?
If you do once, you gotta do once a week and wait. But I discover it much more deeper healing results can bring in 2, even 3 days sometimes. Depends. So it's so deep, goes deep in the tissue and working very slowly, but so deep. If you do that, don't jump right on. Wait 3 days, see how you feel.
Right. Wow. Okay. So the kit's on your website?
Yeah, the kits are available, yes.
Okay. So if somebody's doing this, let's say once a week like yourself, do you do rectal insufflations in between?
When depends. For me, I don't. But again, I know my blood chemistry, so that's why I don't do it. Depends on the condition.
If somebody's really challenged, they might do. If they can't, if they do the enema, let's say, and they need to do the rectal insufflation, can they still do that without the enema in between?
They could. Just again, when I always say, don't ozone more is not better. Don't. I know people feel like good, they want to jump right in and then say, well, I want more. Don't do that, because ozone, just compare ozone to the fire. You can warm up yourself or you can burn the house. It's still the same fire. That's right. The same with ozone. Your body, and by the way, everyone's body has different antioxidant potential level. In other words, some people can do a lot of ozone and don't feel it, and other ones don't have that much antioxidants in the system. They're very toxic. So right. You know, antioxidants depleted. So you get hit more with ozone. You got to be careful there.
Right, and that's a good analogy. One analogy I use is think of ozone as like burning wood in a wood stove. What's the toxins of the wood? The ozone's the flame, and the byproduct, the soot and ashes, is what they call free radical damage and oxidative stress. So you need to take care of the oxidative stress and the free radical damage until you're
Yes.
clean. Until you're clean.
And why I need to bring this up, because there are two different schools of thoughts on ozone. One is European and Russian, because that was, okay, an ozone clinic in Germany and Russia, they started to appear in 1920s. So that's how far it goes. So it's a German-Russian school of thought, and there's American school of thought. German and Russian school of thought, they give very little concentration. Top maybe 20 gamma at the top. They almost homeopathic ozone. And American whole ozone system is to give more. So I think it's something in between. Is it true? So some people will need less, some people will need more. Depends.
Are you talking
So,
volume or gamma?
I'm talking about gamma per volume, yes, too.
Okay. Yeah, there are different schools of thought on what the gamma or the concentration should be and the volume. And, you know, that's something you'll have to find what works best for you. But yes, I would encourage everybody to do this ozone rectal enema.
We always do this. We always say in my lecture and my personal consultations, do slowly, start very slowly, and see how you feel.
Right.
Because if you don't forget, when something happens to you, you never expose yourself to enemas, vitamins, whatever it is. I guarantee you're very toxic. Guarantee you. And now you start detoxing, it can overwhelm you so much, you will kind of gonna face up very hard challenge. So do slowly, see how you feel, see how your kidney feels. So what is how your bowel movement, all that matters.
Right now, this is where a practitioner who's guiding you can help you kind of work with what's called the Herxheimer or detox reactions and help you gauge the rate of therapy. Also, it's important, and I think as practitioners, to gauge, overall get a sense of the client. What are they doing? Where is their vitality, their health, their experience, their knowledge? You have to really understand the person, and you know, sometimes it's baby steps and they're just getting into this. Other people are quite experienced and, you know, done a lot of things, so they, you know, they're going to be easier to work with. So, you know, this is comes back to assessing the client's, you know, getting a good sense of your client, a patient, and you know.
And by the way, I do offer functional diagnostics on our website. So if you're remotely and if you want to really know your body, your biochemistry of your blood, I can help it with you. So, but then you kind of not on, especially on your own. Andrew can train you or can guide you. I, from my end, can do functional blood biochemistry and tell you. So more or less what you're gonna, or what kind of challenges you're gonna have, and you can live all the way in Montana, down in somewhere, and still do that. So we live in such a world that it's very easy, you know, now to do the meetings like we have right now, and slowly, you just start slowly. That's all what I say. Just do slowly. And one very important point I want to make. Okay, I forgot how many healing reactions I already had. Maybe 15, 20. And you don't think so, oh, healing reaction is bad. I try to explain, and you probably, Andrew, know yourself, it's very hard to get that point across. What is this? How come you're getting well, you're getting sick? So it's healing reaction. I don't understand. So it's just assume as your body is like onion, it has different layers. And one layer is gone, you feel great after that. It's only because your body preparing to remove second layer, and then the third, and then the fourth, and then the fifth. And you're wondering when it's going to end. Probably never, especially in the toxic world that we're living right now. It's just, you feel great, then it hits you again. It just, one thing is, it just lay flat on the bed, maybe 3-4 days. Let that toxin get out of you. What you do, very simple. I always recommend you take the glass and put it by your toilet. When you pee in the glass and see what urine is coming out of you. If it's a foggy, it has bad smell, that's detox. That's a detox. drink a lot of water, drink maybe eat that melon or eat that watermelon, a lot of water, especially distilled water because it's the pure water. Drink, 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 because all that toxicity goes through the kidney, and it's very hard to kidney to pass that toxicity out. So just stay in the bed, don't do ozone, don't provoke more, but in a week, you go back, but you're gonna feel much better. You feel 10 times better after than before.
Now, yes, we just, as a practitioner, one thing I do is I have some very core practices that address detox at different levels. So synergies. So there's, you know, ways to do additional practices to support your detox, and every practitioner has a kind of different approach. So as far as really getting after the deep pathogens, ozone is, I call it the H-bomb of antimicrobial therapy. Now, there are other therapies that are antimicrobial. You can synergize, and other practices you can go that I teach to go along with the ozone. But each practitioner has a, you know, different combination protocols.
I just want to bring this too, because I talked to you before. So we are working on a hydrogen solution, inexpensive solution. Let's just throw that bone out.
Right, the hydrogen, yes, by the way, is a different beast, but hydrogen, if you think inflammation, free radical damage, you can Google that and hydrogen therapy. What Oleg's coming out with is those are very, here we go again. A lot of people I talk to, I have a system that's excellent. It's a great system, but a lot of people can't afford it. So a lot of, you know, I want people to have access to this therapy. This will be very affordable, and this is another therapy. But there are many key technologies, therapies one can do. But this ozone is absolutely in my top 5 of therapies.
Covered internal ozone therapy. Now let's talk about external. Why do you need both?
Well, we didn't cover the nasal and the ears.
Okay, that will be part 2 right now. I'm still want to tell you why do you need both.
Okay.
You understand why do you need different internal ones.
All right.
Now, if you systemically ozonate yourself, for instance, you put injection ozone. So there are like autohemotherapy, there is a saline solution, ozonated therapy, and now a lot of people ozonate ozone mixture right in the vein. They do it themselves. They call us this. I said, I don't want to hear it, but people do that. So there are many different applications now, but look at this. So assuming you're very toxic, you have a lot of toxicity, you have toxicity layers in your shoulders, elbows, knees, and so on and so forth, and you have a toxicity flowing in you, and you give yourself ozone, the first body will use that ozone to general detoxing. If you have, for instance, shoulder pain and you do autohemotherapy, you're still gonna have a shoulder pain, for instance, because your body will use that ozone immediately before it gets to some local sites. Your body doesn't care if you do have shoulder pain or ankle pain. Body always takes care what's most important for body to survive. Your knee pain, it's not that important, but it's very annoying to you. You can walk. So that's why a lot of times external ozone therapy, it's not only a replacement, it's addition to it, because it's how you can do many different applications for yourself while you do detoxing. You need the cupping, you need the bagging, or you need ear. Again, let's say you breathe, or let's say you do autohemotherapy, and you have glaucoma. Glaucoma are going to help you for maybe second, maybe third, fourth, or fifth, maybe 10th session. Because glaucoma, what I noticed, what it is, it's number one, it's inflammation, because it's your eyes are very hot. Okay. Second, you're also not going to get to your eye. So that's why when you do ear insufflation, it goes directly to the site. So that's why it's important to have a general systemic ozonation and a local applications.
Correct.
That's the point I was going to make. So the same, if you do have lung problem, you should breathe it, regardless if you do rectal or not. Rectal health.
Just be clear, you're not breathing the ozone, you're breathing it through olive oil.
The olive oil, yes. Why? The other people's, why use olive oil? Why don't use other ones? What we discover, olive oil, most nature balanced to absorb and evenly absorb ozone, and this is one perfect substance that works very, very well. You do any other oils, then they become rancid, they become, the different reactions happening. Okay, we prefer virgin olive oil all the time.
Right, do not ever breathe ozone directly into your lungs. Absolutely do not do that.
Yeah, you're gonna choke yourself. It's very unpleasant.
And it's also dangerous. So you must breathe it through the olive oil.
Most of us probably accidentally did it.
I have once. I know what it's like.
I did a few times, but I still recover. But it's very, very unpleasant. So it's not gonna probably kill you, but don't do that. It's danger. There is a danger.
Right.
That's what we cover. So there is internal, external. They not one or another. A lot of time they complement each other, and you need both of them in order if you want to feel completely healed or do some, again, applications on your leg, on your foot, on your arm, on your shoulder, whatever. We have many items and kits available for you to do that. And by the way, we're bringing more. I don't want to jump ahead, but tell you, stay tuned. We're bringing more devices and more kits.
For the ozone?
For ozone too.
Okay.
Yes.
So the key, just real quick, there's rectal insufflation, there's ear insufflation, there's nasal insufflation, there's bagging various limbs, and you can do a cupping of a site.
Yep.
If you're qualified, you could do injections. And and then there's the breathing through the olive oil. Is there anything else in terms of applications that I'm missing?
Other application is application of the oils in the water.
Right, you can ozonate, you can buy Oleg sells, unless you want to spend a lot of hours ozonating olive oil, you can buy pre-made ozonated olive oil. And the water, right, drinking, oh, I'm sorry, I missed, that's the big one. Drinking the ozonated.
Spraying the water. Second, many other applications as a disinfectant too. So we just put a few videos about the nasal cavities, like treat your nasal infection. Then gingivitis, it's a big one because according to the CDC, 80% of Americans have gum disease.
So how do you do the gingivitis?
I recommend you get a water pick, and you do water picking with ozonated water, and it stops bleeding within 2 days.
I see.
It's amazing. It's right. It just immediately. Other people reported a lot of success with ozonated oil applied right on the gums. Be careful not overdo it because it can strip mucosal lining, but it still works.
Right, a water pick and ozonated water, right.
There are many different applications, so it's just, I don't know where to end. There are so many of them.
Okay, so, I mean, this is a bit of a study. You got to take your time, but the basic applications are easy to do. And it's something that I do teach. The major microbes need a place to sustain themselves, a nest. So they look for dead spots, a lot of toxins. So the number one area is the colon. That's where the most big area of toxicity, that's the big nest. The second area, I believe, I say is the sinus cavity, because that's an area you get a lot of blockage and they can kind of hover in there and nest in there. If there's a lot of oxygen in an area, a lot of oxygen, flowing through an area, they're going to be less likely to try to nest in that area. They look for low oxygen environments to
yeah, you bring a very good point. So they're not only nasal. So we have 3 openings. 1, 2, 3, right?
Right. 4.
And,
the rectum.
No, in openings for intake.
Oh yeah.
So and nature makes glands at the entrance that run on sulfur. So you have a sulfur in the ears, you have sulfur in the glands, you have sulfur in the glands and nasal cavities. Even here you have mastoid gland. They all runs on sulfur. So that's what they discover. A lot of people, not because they're low on sulfur, but they have biounavailable sulfur, and then why I have a lot of glandular stagnations and a problem in the glands. That's ozone can help you right away. But you still have to fix this issue. In other words, you need to take care of see why you have lymphatic stagnation in your glands. Again, this is different topic. It's more deep. We need to cover it. That's something will be covered functional diagnostics. But still, you have the mineral substances to have. Make sure you take EFA, essential fatty acid. You take sulfur, but that all will be here, and the ozone will help you because many people suffering from nasal.
By the way, I do teach a kind of my own. I've developed a lymphatic protocol. It's really quite. It's a newer protocol. I have some videos on that, but if you contact me, I can share that with you. It's a way to really quickly clear the lymph system.
Okay.
Okay, so we covered the applications. We went over why one should do this at home. Anything else you want to go over?
I think there's plenty.
Okay.
For people to digest. We don't want to overwhelm everyone with so much information.
So if you want to learn more about this ozone system and you're interested in doing it, contact me. We'll put the links below, and also we can help you with additional therapies. And also you can contact Oleg at Dr. O Solutions if you want to work with him and get blood work. And I would highly recommend, following his protocol. The passion, the dedication, the compassion is extraordinary. I appreciate it. And Oleg just he's always innovating. One thing is to be a doctor. Another thing is actually to bring these tools to people at a really affordable price. So Oleg's coming from both the ability to make these technologies affordable. He's always innovating, always trying things out. I do the same. I appreciate that. And then at the end of the day, he's making these technologies that are available to the public for affordable pricing. So that's excellent. So thank you for coming out.
Sure. Let's do it. Let's do it more often and cover maybe next as a Q&A. So
okay.
Ask you questions so we can cover those. Let's stay in touch.
We could get people. I mean, if you want to invite a group of people, I just send them a link and we could have a group call.
We have Medical Ozone Research Group on the Facebook. Don't forget.
Yeah. So we'll. If you just Google Dr. O Solutions, you'll find the Facebook. And is it a private group?
It's a group. It's not private, but you need to search. It's not going to come up. That's the full name: Medical Ozone Research Group.
Medical Ozone Research Group. Okay.
It's in there. It says from people to people. My point for that group. So let's share experience. So it's not like Dr. O guiding this group. I'm big guy. No. Because I want to from people to people. So they're not going to shut it down because everyone knows it. So it's like the same with the CBD, right? So they've been talking about it a long time. Now, boom, it's everywhere because people start talking about it. So it's the same we can do with ozone. So from people to people, they can shut down Oleg or Andrew, but they're not going to shut down everyone because everyone knows and everyone talking. That's why the whole point, I want to research from people to people. People bringing on cases, just share your cases. What I did is this, and I want everyone to know, and everyone shares it, then this becomes a fact, and you can just simply show it.
So this is on Facebook, and it's called Medical. Let's go over again. Medical Ozone
Research Group. Okay. I encourage everyone to join and share it, your experience. Ask questions. I always answer my questions there, but fellow members answering questions as well. It's a very wonderful group and a lot of good experiences. Cancer treatments, people share the tumor treatments, the recovery. Oh man, there are so many good things.
Well, thank you again. Thanks for all your good work. And so yeah, people just realize you can create a home therapy clinic. That's what really my emphasis is, to help you get self-empowered. And one day my vision is that just like the gyms you go to, there'll be natural, holistic gyms you can go to if you don't have the money to afford all this, because The gyms are, you know, I know some of these gyms are 20 a month, 10 a month, and they have $1 million worth of inventory in the gym. I wish one day we'll have a holistic gym. But even, you know, if you're in a church or community, you might consider, you know, pooling your resources and trying to create your own church therapy. Like get a big room and have a different holistic technologies and pool your resources. Because one of the biggest challenges, unfortunately, and you're compassionate towards that, a lot of people don't have the money. And so we need to create community holistic centers, so to speak.
Sure. All right. Nice
Thank
chat.
you. Have a good the rest of the day.